Board of Selectmen's meeting, November 13th, 2018, in attendance, Chairman Deedy, Mr. Fox, Mr. Mogan, Mr. Steinhardt, and Cindy Pendleton.
Like it right there, that's good. That's good. All right, folks, how are we doing tonight? Public comment is first. If anyone has something they'd like to say, please state their name and address for the record. We're at public comment. Would you have anything you'd like to say, ma'am? We're at public comment right now. You're good? All right.
She
Just
has her
I
own
know,
hearing.
but I just feel bad 10 minutes from now when they're giving you that look. All right, so we're done with public comment. 6:55, first up, David. Come on up. How are you this evening?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, what's our game plan here? Your mom owns the property on 58 Berkshire Ave,
Yes, she does.
and there's a problem with the driveway?
Yes, she's in the process of selling the house.
How you doing? Let me get you up to speed quick.
Fantastic.
All right. So 58 Berkshire Ave is a house on it.
Right in here, Dad.
And
I got it.
And apparently, the driveway for a million years kinda encroaches on town property.
Ah,
But we're not even sure if it's town property because
The paper road from an old subdivision.
that
No, it's
just,
ours.
so it's ours. And they were looking for a nice letter saying that we'll never build on it and it's okay, which we're not gonna give them, of course. The best thing we can do is probably a license agreement as a placeholder and then an easement through town meeting.
Right,
Yeah,
that was
that's the only
town
way you can
council's.
do it, yeah.
Right. So that's what we're
Like
looking
the
at.
motocross.
Yeah. So they're trying to, his mom's trying to sell apparently and move to Florida, but she liked her years here. She said she was, the taxes weren't too bad, but that's not the reason she's leaving.
well, I should have been higher. We
Well,
missed
I-
the driveway all these
I
years.
know it. That's what I was thinking too. Is it paved?
It is.
Oh, we could have got him for much more
It's
money.
boy.
it's beautiful
Oh, it's too
concrete,
bad.
yeah.
The funny thing
Yeah.
is, there's no, if you look at the wooded area in between that's supposedly ours,
Right.
it's not pavement and it's just a cliff with some trees on it.
That goes down,
It's
yeah.
not buildable. There's no property record, Kevin.
Right. That's
There's
the
no
lake.
property.
Yeah, I figured it's a
Yeah.
body of water.
It's a body of
great.
water.
It's a great pond.
That's a great pond.
One of the basins of
Yeah.
the.
I think jet
Congamon
skis
Lake.
are allowed on that one too.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay. Well, that's good for selling, just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we're looking, well, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's a good way until we can get to a town meeting
Right.
and it has to go through that process, but we still help out your mom and
Yeah, I
allow
appreciate
you
that.
to go forward with the sale.
Sir?
So I'll make a motion.
I thought this was a planning board hearing for a half a second. I was having flashbacks.
I was gonna make a motion to authorize town council to begin the process.
All right. Is there a second?
Sure. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're all set.
Okay, thank you very
Well,
much.
it's a process. I mean, nothing
I hope
happens
that-
overnight, but
No, okay.
you can reach out to Mr.
So will they send her
Steinhardt.
some sort of communication? It's in the
No,
process, or
we're gonna
is it
ignore you
okay?
for the next 6
I-
months.
I wouldn't. I look forward to it.
Oh, good.
That's part of the
Thank you,
scope.
have a nice night.
Yep.
The scope of services.
You want that back? I think there's other stuff in there too, but. All right. PVPC. Ready? Okay.
Erica.
Come on up. So you want me to read this first?
You wanna
All right,
still
the
set it?
Suffolk, what's that? It's not 7? All right, we got 5 minutes.
I'm gonna knock out a couple.
Yeah, let's knock out a few things,
This
right?
clerk over here.
All right. You're fine. You stay right there. Don't move. Don't move.
I got 5 minutes.
No, you're fine.
You want me sitting back?
No, sit. Just sit. Get up here, sit.
How are you?
So we have reaffirm signing of a discharge of lien on real estate for 80 South Lane, Granville.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I guess not for him. All right. The PVPC financial warrant number 23 for the amount of $2,263.83.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, I guess I went through the other ones. I missed all those, huh? Oh, well. Okay, let's go right up to the top, guys. Payable warrant 1911 dated 10/13/18 in the amount of $316.52. So that must have been a phone call to the lawyer, right? That cheap?
Joe, if you go down a couple after
Yep.
the hearings, they're all laid out on a piece of paper for you.
Oh, really? I'll go slower.
Well, you know, here's the amount of the third one. okay?
Thank you. I can read the second one, though?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, the board acknowledged payable warrant 1912B dated 11/5/18 in the amount of $71,492.94. The board acknowledgement payroll warrant 1912 dated 11/13/18 in the amount of $216,319.95. Okay. These are good. Oh, I see why you did that, because regular session minutes for 10/30/18.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then executive session,
Yes.
we have those, 10/30/18.
Coming down. Oh, it's bad enough it's got a staple on it.
Oh, boy, 2 pages we gotta read. Must have been a rough one.
Yep.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. It's almost 7 o'clock. All right, so took care of those. Okay, reaffirm hiring of clerical floater Kathleen Carlson.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Reaffirm hiring of custodian maintenance floater Carmina Manning?
Carmen.
Carmen
Manning.
Manning.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. One. Small business Saturday invitation. That's right here, right? Hi, this is Cindy Pendleton. Hi, Cindy. With the holiday season upon
No,
us.
that is,
That's not it?
that was actually last year you sent out a Connect City.
Okay.
That's from last year.
Oh,
Your
and you want to know if we can do it again?
Well, I was just reminding you that you sent one out last year.
Oh, wonderful.
But the next thing
Is,
is the municipal
invitation
feasibility
for-
study.
Okay.
Did they schedule it?
No, I have the update on that to finalize it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
As we mentioned last week, we had 3 interviews,
Yep.
and the committee chose Ty and Bond as the top-ranked
Bless
interview.
you.
We entered into contract negotiations with them, and Jim Mazik and Ben are almost complete on it. So I need the board's authorization for an award and for the chairman to sign a contract with Ty and Bond for $85,000
Right.
for that project.
Okay. So you need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up is small business Saturday invitation to the Hood Cafe. Is that ribbon cutting?
No.
No.
No, this is their small business.
It's a
That's it.
networking.
They
It's a
do want
networking?
they
All right,
do want
boys.
a RSVP.
Yeah, if you can make it, let her know.
Could, I think last year that we tried to work with the Economic Development Commission, I think we even did a Connect City call.
I gave you a copy of
Okay.
it.
Okay.
It's a Saturday.
That was right in the front. It's actually not
All
an
right,
action item. I just wanted to let you know if you wanted to do it again this year.
so we'll do the Connect City again? Just don't do 2 in a row. Was it Friday?
Oh, wait a
That
minute.
was crazy.
I know.
I got a cop call and then was it you next?
No,
Or
Well,
vice
we weren't-
versa?
I was.
Or was it
we
you
weren't
both
ex-
times?
I
We
was.
weren't expecting the law enforcement one. That was a surprise.
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah,
Yeah. You got annoyed
because I
real quickly.
scheduled. I was off on Friday, so I scheduled it like
Yeah,
Days
3
early.
days earlier. And
That was-
then when I called in just to find out if they needed anything, Robin had said that the chief called.
right.
So I called the chief, but I had to leave a message on his cell phone. Never got a call back before the call went out.
Right.
So he had Miles do it.
Yeah, I was on channel 40.
Within,
2
like-
seconds later,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
phone
That's
rings.
why they did it.
And then Miles again. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
how much can I take? But, okay. All right, so we'll do the Connect City again.
Okay.
And if you guys can make it, the coffee and dessert tasting at the Hood Cafe, you can have that back. So.
All right. And Cindy, just make sure we get the dates right, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is last year's.
Right.
What are you saying, Russ? All right. Hey, look, it's 7 o'clock.
There you go.
Thank God. All right. Okay, so public hearing. The Southwick Select Board will conduct a public hearing on November 13th, starting at 7 p.m. in the Select Board's conference room. It's at Southwick Town Hall, 454 College Highway, Southwick, Mass. The purpose of the hearing is to present a proposed program amendment regarding the FY 2016 Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development Block Grant Program. The proposed amendment will transfer $85,000 in uncommitted and available grant funds from the Veteran Street Infrastructure Improvement Project and Housing Rehabilitation Program to create a line item for the purpose of purchasing a new accessible passenger van for the Southwick Senior Center. Infrastructure and housing program objectives have been met, resulting in a surplus of funds available for other projects, eligible projects. Any person or organization having questions or comments concerning this proposed amendment will have an opportunity to be heard. The Southwick Town Hall is handicap accessible. Why is that in there? Persons who require special accommodations for the public hearing should contact the town, that's why. At 569-5995. For further information, contact Erica Johnson at the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, 413-781-6045, or her email address. All right. How are you?
Want people to be signing that when you're talking?
Yes.
Yeah, do you have
I
that?
wanted to introduce myself first.
Go ahead.
I didn't want to be rude.
Oh, no, not here.
Oh, okay.
No, you're doing great.
Here's a sign-in sheet. Everybody.
Yeah, already signed it. That's it.
good.
If people don't mind, if you can sign and keep it moving along, as part of the request for the shift in funding, we need to show that people were here and signed the sheet and listened.
Right,
We can't prove that you listened, but we can prove that you signed the sheet.
right.
So please sign.
And they
the
have to be
sheet.
residents of Southwick?
Interested parties.
They're signing, they're interested. All right. Okay,
So some residents would be.
yeah, there is
We're
some.
good when it gets down to.
Yeah, we got, yeah, that end we're fine.
Go the wrong
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
the wrong way. All right.
All right.
I'm Erica Johnson.
Hi, Erica.
I work at the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. I'm here to talk about a contract and budget amendment for the FY16 Community Development Block Grant.
Yes.
So, as you just read, we had some surplus of funds in two different line items, one being the Veteran Street Infrastructure Improvement Project, where we did water, street upgrades. The project came in under the engineer's estimate.
Yep.
And then construction came in under the construction budget. So there's a sizable amount of money left in there, about $69,000. There's also going to be some funds left from the housing rehabilitation project. We've met and exceeded our grant goals in both projects. And now we'd like to take some funds that are left over from those two lines, shift them, and create a new line for a new van for the senior center.
Yep.
I'm going to use van and bus interchangeably, I'm sorry, but is it a van, is it a bus? I don't know. It's both, it's neither. But it's wonderful.
No, this is,
It's great.
yeah,
It's an eligible item, so check with the
Yes,
state.
Absolutely, so it's an eligible.
And it is on your 5-year capital plan from the council manager, so it makes sense.
it's,
What he
yes,
said.
Perfect.
perfect, yeah.
And I should probably say too, it wasn't my idea, it was Carl's idea.
Yeah.
It was Cindy's.
It was Cindy's idea. There was a lot of
didn't know
people who
about
had
it.
ideas.
There's been a lot of ideas,
I had an
right?
idea 2 years ago.
Put the
Yeah.
heads together and made it happen. So Cindy has worked to get a price quote for the van, with the specifications that would serve
State contract.
the town the best.
Yep, and make you happy, right? Now we
I'm
qualify.
always happy.
Yeah, well, if it didn't have a
Yes.
handicap thing, you wouldn't be happy, right?
That is accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
It does
So-
have.
I know
Yes.
it does, yes. Yep,
It does have that.
Okay.
So,
Which is an improvement from the current van, correct?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
the current van does not have
doesn't
one.
have it. Yep,
Right. Yep.
that's great.
I mean, I could talk about
With,
why we
had
should
the
do
other
it.
one.
Yeah, it was on the plan. We were trying to figure out how to do
Right,
it. So
right.
this is an awesome idea.
Yeah, because it was on our
It's
10-year
great.
plan, it was on her 5-year plan. So we're thrilled that this
We
actually
did it
works
in
out.
3, look at that.
Yeah,
just that efficient.
You don't have it yet. It's
Yeah.
probably in the parking lot, actually, isn't it?
exactly.
It is out back, isn't it?
The current van?
No, she
No.
probably has the new one out back.
Oh.
She's just gonna surprise us tomorrow.
no, 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 of
Kidding.
course not, of course
Kidding.
not.
No.
So we have to approve this.
So what I
What are you looking for?
what I'm requesting tonight, I guess first of all to bring it to the public, see if there's comments, concerns about a movement
Okay.
of funds, and if that's something that the board agrees is appropriate. approval to sign an amendment request.
Okay.
And from there, the amendment request will go to the state for their approval, along with that sign-in sheet. Is everybody signing?
Yep.
There's a pen there.
Yeah, it's coming down, so they're doing a great job.
Don't steal my pen, it writes really nice.
Oh.
I should, now I've said it.
Is it an
Now
astronaut
it's
pen?
definitely gonna get stolen.
Not in Southwick.
No.
Plus, we
Fine,
have
take
a cop.
another one.
We're all good.
So, with your approval, I'll submit the amendment request.
Yeah.
The amendment request will go with that sign-in sheet,
Okay.
some information, the quote from the van, some information on my end about how exactly the money is gonna move from pot A to pot B, and then we wait for approval.
Couple weeks, couple months,
No, depends.
standard answer, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on your end, how long does it take once we have
It takes
approval?
90 days, they said,
So
about
sometime in the
to,
spring.
yeah,
Yeah,
to build the van, basically.
yeah.
It's all custom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's through the
Keep
state.
in mind, it was on
They
our
build it.
5-year plan, so.
through the end.
No, it's
this
all
is
good. Yeah,
all
spring
good.
spring
Right.
is wonderful.
Spring is
Yeah.
better than,
Yeah,
Yeah.
spring is great, yeah.
You don't wanna get it all
yeah, I don't want to get salty
Yeah,
and
we don't wanna
crappy.
get salty.
Correct.
Definitely not.
Good.
So, does the chair have to entertain public comments?
Folks, anyone have a
Speak
comment
in
about
favor?
this van out there? Please state your
Cindy,
name
you
for the
wanna
record.
list everybody's name?
Paula LeBlanc, 124 South Lawn Yard. I would just like to speak in support of this, something that's very much needed and will provide safety for our passengers, which we very much need. I'd like to thank the board and especially Kyle for all his support and very much in favor of this.
Thank you. Anyone else? I know our police chief isn't here tonight, but he is getting up in age and had stated that he would be thrilled
Oh, boy.
with the
till I
with the new van.
That's
Yeah.
DD,
Yeah.
D-E-E-D-Y. Do you need your
Oh, no.
license plate number?
Right.
They've told me many times. They know I am. But just saying. So that was another guy that was very much supportive of it. So, all right.
And
Anything
there's
else?
other.
Oh, there's
seniors
plenty
in
of
the room,
folks
but-
here that appreciate
Yeah.
it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about how we use the van at all, or?
For 3 minutes.
I get 3 whole minutes? That's a long time.
I know.
It is.
Okay, so we use the van for, we did 44 trips last fiscal year, which serviced about 700 people. Different noses, that's kind of how you count people, is by their noses. And we also, and that doesn't include the medicals that we do in addition to the FRTA van. So it's 12 years old, 13 years old. The
Yeah, she's had a
seniors
good
are
run.
complaining about the shocks and the ride. It doesn't have a backup safety camera. The new van will have all of that. It'll also have a navigation system, so when they're going on trips, they won't be trying to figure out how to look at the map.
Where they're
and-
going?
Yeah.
Well,
If
Wow.
they can use,
Well,
we'll
anyways,
have to train them how
yeah,
to use it,
yeah.
yes. So we often get calls for an overflow from the FRTA van, so we have our volunteers come in and they'll take them to medicals. They go to, different places with them. Medical appointments and family visits, they do all kinds of things. So I have a bunch of numbers. We have 2,081 people registered at the senior center. So in the last fiscal year, we had 882 of those people coming into the senior center, which is 21,859 swipes, which means they've been in over 20,000 times, which is really good for a senior center our size. So we service 233 different people on this van, equaling 795 trips.
Yep.
So, I mean, I could go on and on. I think it's great. I appreciate the support and getting the phone call to try to make this happen. It was on my capital plan, so I had already had, specs worked out, so they just needed to update them. And it's going to be, if it's approved by the state, it would be a great addition.
No
For
different
seniors.
licensures needed for it.
No, because it's a 15 or under
Perfect.
vehicle, so they do not need a CDL license.
Great.
One thing just to consider.
Mm-hmm.
This is all great. It's fantastic. Just make sure it fits where the existing van fits.
Oh, we're not
Because
doing
it's
an addition now?
tight now.
you
So
wanna
with
talk
the,
about
with the
that?
new mirrors
let's
and
talk
all
about
that
that.
No,
stuff.
we already did the measurements. There'll be an adjustment that will be needed on the garage, but we already are aware of that.
Yes.
We
Okay,
had Bob Johnson and her already
Yes.
scoped it out.
fantastic. 'Cause I just know
But
it's
obviously,
tight.
it was determined the modest fee that would be is far outweighed by the benefit
Absolutely.
of
Yes.
procuring this.
Exactly. And they're not making vans any smaller.
Correct.
So in a
This
few
is-
years, I mean, that's what they told us, is this is the smallest van for what we need, especially with the wheelchair lift. It adds
That's what I was worried
height
about.
and a little
and
bit of
width.
length.
Yeah, the length
But
is
we
fine.
did already, yeah,
Length
the
is
length
fine.
is fine. We can move the block up.
Yeah, we've already talked about it.
Great.
I should have known better. You guys
Yes,
are all
we did.
over it.
I was ready to take bricks down and it just isn't gonna be that easy, of course.
No, it's not.
No,
All right.
that's probably what's holding up this whole bloody building.
Any other issues on your end?
I could just end by saying another grant season is starting up.
Yeah.
And
And
some
the
of
board
your,
designated Joe to lead that one.
congratulations.
Second.
Oh, I don't care. Yeah, it's all good.
Oh, you've just designated, or you already have been designated, I missed.
Oh, it's my project.
So some of your residents have already received something in the mail.
Right.
Which included an income
For the
survey.
next infrastructure project.
Yes, for the next infrastructure project.
And the guidelines have changed somewhat now too, right? That's opened up quite a bit.
Yeah.
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 Which is
there's,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
they've
target
made
area
it-
anymore.
They've made it much easier.
Yeah.
By removing the target area, so
That's
as
gonna
long
be very
as,
helpful.
as long as you have an area that income qualifies, you
Yep.
can work in it regardless of whether it's inside your line or outside your line. And also the town can, there's no points for regionalization anymore, so the town can go on their own.
Oh, good.
And there's also not multiple activity points, so you can go on your own and you can go for a single project. So especially if you're looking at infrastructure
You're right, yep.
projects, you can do a lot more in a single fiscal year now.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I think the board, you gave them a list of the different, Jim, a list of the different roads, so.
Yep, we
That's
did.
why those surveys went out to those
Yeah.
neighborhoods.
they've already received their first mailing. A second mailing will go out in the next few days, and then I'll be going door to door.
Okay.
And it will be me. So if you got those surveys, send them back. Save me the walk. It's getting cold, and I don't like socks.
It's supposed to snow on Thursday.
I won't be out Thursday.
Okay. So what do we need, a motion for the chair to sign, or what are you looking for on this?
Yes, please.
Motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
motion to have the chair sign
Grant.
and approve.
Is there a second?
Gladly
Is
second.
there
that.
certain pages,
All
I
those in
know
favor? Aye.
there was the other stuff Cindy did
Well done.
print
You
it
have
out.
the pages?
Thank you.
Very good.
Well done.
Yeah, is that it right there? Cindy
There you
did
go.
print
I
it
have a
out.
spare.
No, we're good.
Cindy printed it out.
Oh, yes, please. I'd give you
Here's
the
a pen.
pen,
I didn't
but
pen, but
someone
somebody
stole my
swiped the
pen.
pen.
Who's got my pen?
Erica, why don't you look
Oh.
at, no, give that to her so she can make sure it's,
You can make sure I sign where the red dot is.
yeah.
Let's see how we did. We did all right. You can't read it, but that's beside the
The
point.
red-
Take
red
that copy
dot.
with you?
I would love
Why
to
don't you
take
that
this, you know
copy
mine.
with you? Cindy will print it.
It's gonna, or do you want me to leave it? Or do you want me, I'll send you a copy?
Everybody sign
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I still have the grant folder, the master grant folder.
I don't know how this one, here.
Thank you.
I will send you a copy.
Coming down.
Tomorrow, when I'm back in the office, in the afternoon. So,
That'll be fine. Thank you.
All set?
It's great. Thank you, Erica. Thank you
Have a
guys.
great day.
I
Thanks.
This on this.
appreciate
This
it.
is great. Thank you very much.
We
very much
appreciate
for your
it.
time.
We'll see you for the next grant
This is
round.
great.
Well, I'll be here.
We're gonna have some good ideas on that one too, Joe.
Yeah. Westfield Genie, come on up. How you doing today, guys?
15.
Look at you. You're making the trains run on time. Got this. Right on the button.
Are you folks gonna stay? Are you staying?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure. How you doing?
Very good. Busy.
Yeah,
Busy.
Yes.
that's wonderful. So we're here tonight to discuss the realm of your internet? Is that the best way to put it?
I suppose, yeah.
Whip City Fiber?
We were asked to be able to answer questions if you guys had questions concerning fiber or what direction you guys are going in or,
Well, is it easy enough to come to Southwick, right?
yeah. So That's complicated.
Well,
Well, that's what you,
probably
why
want
we're
to know
here.
the pathway to
Yeah.
get there.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you want to?
Go ahead, you can start.
So
Sure.
basically, there's a lot of municipalities looking at potentially building their own fiber networks.
And you guys seem to be doing a great job
Right.
from what we
Thank you.
hear.
Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very good. So basically, the pathway starts with the town becoming MLP, municipal light plant. That gets you access to be able to get space on telephone poles.
Without
That's-
owning them.
Without owning them. Because right now, they're usually jointly owned between power and telephone companies.
Okay.
We, fortunately, in Westfield, we're the power company, so we have a big interest in the poles already,
Right.
which kind of makes it a little easier for us. But we're working with 20 hill towns right now and building fiber networks in all of those. And
Wow.
one of the biggest challenges is you have to basically map all the poles, license the poles, do make-ready, which gives you the pathway of the poles in the communication space to create that ability for you then to build your network, which is actually the easy part. You build your network, then you got to hook up customer by customer and compete for internet services with the other providers in the area. So it's a long project. It's a worthwhile project in that you can get a state-of-the-art internet. A lot of applications ride the internet now. You can get television programming, telephone. More and more things are moving to that, migrating to that IP network space.
So the make-ready work, though, is one of the more difficult things to do, though, because a lot of poles don't have space
Right.
on them. Smaller poles or poles that are been in disrepair, which is.
And that's why we
actually
see you going
utilities'
through towns now, and you guys are adding new poles
New
next to the other ones
poles.
that are 4 or 5 feet taller.
Exactly. So it's that space. So if you, and the communication space has to be 40 inches below the lowest conductive material of the electric space. So 40 inches below the lowest electric wire
Right.
is the beginning of the communication space. And 12 inches below that is the communication space. Okay, so anywhere in there can be your space for fiber. If that space doesn't exist, you have to create it by a taller pole
Right.
or moving the wires. If you can move the wires, then you don't need a taller pole. But even moving the wires is relatively expensive.
Sure.
When you look at the capital cost of a project like this, about 30 to 40% of the money spent will be working on telephone poles,
Yeah.
creating that 1 foot of space, which you get to then rent from the pole owners every year.
It's a daunting, and we're not here to dissuade you because it's an extremely beneficial project. But it's one that takes time, energy, and effort.
And you're currently working with 20 hill towns?
So, yeah, we're working, we started the Westfield project 4 years ago. We started with a proof of concept 4 years ago. The city council gave us the approval to move ahead with certain sections of the city. To go ahead, we presented them with a business plan. We showed them that we thought we could do it, and they gave us the go-ahead to go ahead and try, just in sections of the city. We used personnel in Westfield Gas and Electric to kind of pull it off that way. And we proved that we could do it and pull it off correctly. So the city council allowed us to, actually, they wanted to prove it again, so we actually had to do a third proof of concept just to make sure we knew what we were talking about. Once we were able to pull that off, we got a $15 million bond approved through the city council to move forward with this project. We actually borrowed $2.5 million from ourselves to get going for those proofs of concept. So we're $17.5 million to get this whole project going. Okay, that's to give you an idea of what it kind of costs
Sure.
to
date.
move this ahead.
To date,
To
right.
date, you're 17.5
To
million
date.
into it.
Right, exactly. And that is sufficient enough to cover 70% of Westfield. Now, when I say cover, that means pass by 70% of the homes in Westfield. That's what the city council gave us as a mandate. But through the infrastructure of fiber passes by today 70% of the homes in Westfield. Okay, so this whole project started 4 years ago. I can thankfully tell you that we are under budget and probably 45% ahead of take rate at this point. It's a tremendous project. People are overwhelmingly in favor of it in the city of Westfield. So as we were building this project along, all of these towns have been struggling mightily for someone to listen to them. They have been going for 10 or 12 years without anybody listening to them. They have nothing in these hill towns. No internet, no nothing. And what they do
We
have is through,
Comcast. They don't even have Comcast.
yeah, they don't have anything. Some of them have satellite if they're lucky. Some of them have DSL, which is about 25-year-old technology.
I run a business up in Blandford, and it's
You
one leg of a phone.
Yeah, it's a phone. It's phone.
It's
It's internet
nothing.
over the phone.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Basically.
Yeah.
Children today, as they grow up, flock away from these towns
Yeah.
because there is no internet. They do not come back once they graduate college. It's just the way it is, right? They flock away. These poor towns are dying. And every once in a while, some politicians would say, I have the solution, and it doesn't work.
Right.
We have very many examples of, this is it, I have your panacea, and it just falls through the ground. Anyways, 2 years ago, we have an opportunity while we were building Westfield, we thought we could show these towns how to do exactly what we're doing in Westfield in their town. Just by using the management capability that we have, the project management capability, the connection to all these other vendors that we're using, let's go show some of these towns how to do that. At the exact same time, the state stepped in and said, okay, if you do that, we'll finance 40% of it if the town goes through and says they'll finance 60% of it. It's a pretty good deal. So the
Yeah.
towns went out and got a vote. They said, yes, we'll do that. The state stepped in and said, okay, we'll do that if the town says we'll do that. So all these towns are building their own network. They're going to own it. We're just showing them how to do it.
Nice.
We're just using our project management skills to show them how to do that. We will offer as a service, an internet service provider service ourselves. We can be their internet service provider, but we're not spending any capital whatsoever in these towns. It's all their money and state money. So it's worked out actually very well for them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're working with 20 hill towns right now, and it's going to be the greatest message once we're done, because they've gone from being absolutely ignored, and we're going to have 20 gig towns here very, very soon, probably by the end of 2021, 2022. We're going to have gig internet towns and all these little hill towns that nobody really could care about not too long ago, which was really, it's going to be a great story for
Yeah.
these towns. They've worked very hard. It's not us.
Right.
So coming
worked
back
very
to
hard
Southwick though,
Yeah,
so we have an incumbent
you sure
internet
do.
provider. And so similar to Westfield,
Yep.
when you embarked on this endeavor, you guys have the municipal light and you own the poles,
Yeah.
which is a huge advantage for Westfield to come out of the gate.
Sure, yeah, we're
So,
our own.
do you have an opinion or a thought on you said you were seeing 40 what I thought I wrote it down. Your take rate as you-
45% ahead of where our business plan
So-
was at this time. We're 2 years into that $15 million.
Yep.
And we're just about to finish that entire project will be done by the spring of next year, and we're about 45% ahead of our projected take rate.
That's not take rate penetration, though.
I get it.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
your take
Let's
rate
go by
is
the
still
numbers.
very good against your estimate, even with an incumbent carrier. The hill towns are a little different
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, oh, they're absolutely different.
And being part of the Southwick, Tallinn, Granville
Mm-hmm.
Regional School District, we heard stories from especially Tallinn of the kids, congregating in cars outside the library.
Yeah.
I get that. That's a real big
Yeah.
problem. I think in here, it's different. We do have an option today for
Mm-hmm.
people. I don't know, and we actually have a couple. There is the DSL option, there's the
Yep.
Comcast option, the satellite option.
We sure do.
I think from where I sit, the problem that we have is Comcast is by far and away the best option today.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is the cost. The cost of Comcast is escalating out of control.
Mm-hmm.
Vis-a-vis the service you offer even in Westfield, I assume that's probably why you're seeing such a great take rate.
Yep.
Your service is extremely competitive there. And the question is this something that as a town we should look at to do?
Yep.
It's a tough question
So-
to answer, but I mean, the customers that we win over are the internet-centric customers, because we're offering a gigabit service. Theoretically, it's, 8 to 10 times faster than Comcast. And then there is a way to transition to TV on there. You can buy certain
Sure.
streaming services, Netflix, Prime Video. So all in all, we find our customers are driven by either their desire for great internet or their desire to save money. Okay? Because you can save money, you don't get 200 cable channels, you might get the top 60 instead. But economically, it's an advantage.
I mean, from what I've been doing a little bit of research ahead of this meeting and in general, I mean, the OTT options are, that you can buy, whether it's the Google TVs or the Netflix or the
Right.
whatever, Philo, et cetera, are fantastic
Yeah.
and can rival. And I think you're going to see, frankly, Comcast go in the direction you're going.
Well, they already
They're
actually
gonna,
are.
they've
They're going to
announced
offer
they're
an
doing-
OTT solution,
They
and you're
are
going
offering, they are building one right now.
Right. So, and I think that's good in that you're driving that competition. And the issue that I brought up to this board is, does the town want to get into the business of being
An
an
MLP
MLP?
plant.
And what that entails, and how that looks from a competitive standpoint and everything else. And we're in a different spot, and I think our cost on the polls is going to be probably in line to higher than what you guys see, just because of the way the polls are in our town right now, and that we don't own them and we don't have a lot of leverage. And I've read a lot of stories with Google Fiber coming in and all the trials and tribulations that they go through when you come up against the incumbent that owns the pole.
Oh, yeah.
They don't make it easy.
It's a competitive business. I mean, you can assume that, we do estimates, we do them in the hill towns, and, the cost you're looking at to put a fiber network in is about $60,000 a mile. By the time you're finished and ready to hook up customers, then you're spending another $1,000 as you hook up each home. So it's a big investment. And like I say, you're gonna compete with Comcast and Verizon's. So that's a whole different mindset. It can be a challenge.
Now, if they ever change, the rules right now are that we can't spend capital money outside of Westfield. So if, like you said, okay, come on, you could do it for us, you've done it for yourself, you can come do it for us. We can't do that right now.
Right.
They
But
lose
as-
their monopoly status.
I'm sorry?
I think, don't they lose their monopoly status on certain
Yeah.
parts of like the gas and electricity if they go outside the
Yeah,
border?
we're just not able to spend anything outside of Westfield.
Right.
We're just supposed to spend our capital money inside of Westfield.
Because I did talk to Dan Howard before he
Mm-hmm.
did retire, and we talked about the whole process of, creating a municipal light plan, and
Right.
how it takes,
Right.
it takes 2 town meeting votes. It's
Yep.
not something that's done overnight. All those communities that these guys are dealing with that had to create, some of them already had their own MLPs for
Right.
electricity.
Yep.
So they were able to partner with that part of it, but other parts of them that are just Wamico Eversource customers, they also have to go through the same town meeting process. Because you have to really lay out all the answers about what those costs are gonna be, even if you're just going to exist on paper and then you contract out the service. So
Correct.
that was what Dan and I were talking about at that point in time, and that's where we left it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, though, I don't want to dissuade you from it. I mean, it sounds like a very daunting task, and it sounds like, well, you already have an internet service provider in place, so let's just leave it the way it is. Don't be that way.
No,
All right.
well,
If I was in your
Wilbraham
spot,
did.
I would say,
Russ.
we should at least start exploring it.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
maybe
Yeah,
provide
that
a
is
subcommittee, and maybe, if we had some money, we could put it aside and maybe just do a small section of town. Or actually, before that, let's do a survey of the town and see what they want. See if there would be interest in it and come up with a business plan for it and spend a little money that way to see if there's real interest in the town itself. And then, if you find out there's interest, and then, well, maybe we'll do a small section of town and see if this thing really works. And then kind of build it out from there, slowly but surely, and gain interest in the town. You're not going to cover the whole town of Southwick at once. That's not how we did it.
Right.
I mean, right, there was a tremendous advantage being the gas and electric in town, and I got that. But there's ways of doing it, but you do have to do it slowly.
Right.
And you have to do it fairly, and you got to go really to the sections of town that, in the beginning anyways, where your take rate would be the best. So that, and you
Sounds like our sewers.
The density.
Well, it's very similar, except that, and we have you have an incumbent carrier, which is the septic system, right?
Right.
Let's not draw too many analogies.
No.
And to be clear, I'm not saying just trying to dissuade anyone.
I know.
Yeah.
I just was putting it out there. It's a big decision for a town
Yeah.
to decide to go up and compete with the Charters, the Comcast, the Verizons, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera.
Right.
That being said, just personally, what I've observed is that the inflation rate on this monopoly carrier is absurd. So there's a huge opportunity, and you're seeing it in Westfield. From talking to people and looking at what you're charging for your service vis-a-vis Comcast, you have a winning deal. You have a better product, And the more technically savvy folks that are gonna
Yeah.
take an OTT solution or something like that, it's a great idea.
Yeah, and I would tell you that the biggest selling point, right next to cost, is when somebody calls with a problem, they don't hear, "We'll be over 2 weeks from this next Tuesday between the hours of 2 and 4. They hear, "I'll be right over."
I've heard that they
That
might have
is
skipped the Dale Carnegie class on
unbelievable.
customer service.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the Comcast model, and I get that. That's really how they do it.
Well, it's
But when
it's
they
part
hear
of
I'll
the
be
thing,
right over,
because you have no choice. And I think that's what I've been weighing on. I don't think the town. Certainly, I wouldn't be an advocate for the town to be in this business, right? Other than contracting it to someone else, and this is a way to do it. This is one way to do it.
Right.
Because we don't have a great way. We don't have a great way to attract another carrier or another provider to Southwick. So this is an opportunity to do that, and that's going to drive the competition. That's at the federal level. There's you look at it and there's competition everywhere. There's not. There really isn't. On the local pole to your house, there's not. So this is the opportunity to drive price, and it's going to drive Comcast when more and more of this type of thing happens. Either to offer different solutions to drive to be competitive with the incumbent, and it's going to benefit the consumer. I mean, I just know, looking around Town Hall, there's no wherewithal or ability to run something like this. So
There
something
isn't.
we would have to do it, and it would be, strictly a ghost entity to do this.
but you do have a neighbor that is doing it full-time all the time.
Correct.
And is building this infrastructure right now to cover 20 hill towns, and could respond, and I'm just saying this because it's just happened to pop into my head, could respond to Southwick quicker than it's gonna respond to Leiden and Charlemont and New Ashford and Alford.
Our
and-
proximity
And all of
would be
that.
faster.
I mean, you're right next door.
We get it, yep.
So if you built your own network and, set it up so that it works well, I mean, you could contract, maybe not just us, but you can contract with an ISP that does all your service for you. And you have a distinct advantage having Westfield right next door. That's all I'm saying.
We get it.
When you went through that process with those other towns, did they have to, and they knew how much they were getting from the state mass broadband thing, and you knew how much and then how much more they were gonna have to appropriate. Did they do actuarial studies to figure out how much the capital costs were gonna be to
Some of them
do
did.
all of the build out, and then just for it to be on paper, not to
Yeah.
create a whole department, just to be able to exist on paper?
Yeah.
Because in those towns, most of the select boards act as the municipal
Right.
plant boards.
Yeah.
And then they contract a service through the Whip City Fund.
Yeah. So some of them did, and some of them did a pretty decent job, but they also had bad information in the beginning based on make-ready costs. So the state contracted with this company to come through and do an estimate for make-ready costs,
Yeah,
and they did it from their desktops. They didn't actually go out and look.
they never went into the field.
So they're hugely over budget when it comes to make-ready costs. The state has guaranteed that they're going to cover, quite frankly, because this has become a political hot potato for the state. They've guaranteed that this is going to happen.
They're doing supplemental appropriations
Yeah.
to
So,
fund the difference.
so it's going to happen for the towns.
Right.
Okay.
It's an opportunity.
No, that's what we had you
And
come in.
really appreciate you
because-
coming in.
no
This
problem.
was a great
Yeah.
I mean,
discussion to have.
we do have people that are contacting our departments that
Yeah.
are interested in it.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, well, let's bring them in and
Yeah.
let's learn more about it.
We have
We
met,
just thought that we were initially getting like, well, don't bother us yet, we gotta finish our own build out within our community.
well, yeah, I mean, right, we do. We do have to finish Westfield. We've been told, we've only been appropriated for 70% of Westfield, and that's going to be finished in the spring. We don't know what's going to happen after that. We assume that
You'll get the
the
support.
town council will say, well, you gotta build the other 30% now, which is fine, we can do that. We're building in the we're not building in the hill towns, we're supporting in the hill towns, they're building their own. So if Southwick goes out and builds its own, and we can certainly help project manage that, or help you kind of guide you on your way. Again, the advantage is you're right next
And we
door.
touch your town. So
Yeah,
that's
you're
the
right
advantage.
next door.
Right.
And that's a huge advantage.
We send you gas up the pipeline, we send you the sewage up the
Exactly.
pipeline.
Yeah, and we have a
So we're already connected
presence.
for utilities.
We have a presence at that gate station right here in town.
Yep.
So we have electronics right here in town, we have fiber right here in town, and things like that. So it's a huge advantage than,
Right.
that no other town has.
We have conduits in the rail trail
Yeah.
now that are empty for future stuff.
So if you had some energetic people here in town that was really bought into this, I'd get them in a room and say, okay, here's our study group. You know, let's see what we can find and what we can do. That's just me, though.
Understood. Good?
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent idea, you
Yeah,
know.
that
I
would be
mean,
the next step,
right,
just to-
You gotta put a lot of thought into
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I was on the board when Continental Cable
Oh, yeah,
came to
sure.
town.
Yeah.
When we first started this thing, and
Yeah.
the technology, everything is changing so rapidly. But the only concern that I would have is, when we met with Continental, or whoever's gonna do it, is we wanna service our whole town.
Yeah.
You know, there's got to be a plan to service the entire town.
Yep.
Not, you know, they wanted to come in and just make money off
Oh, yeah, right.
the crowded neighborhoods. No.
Yeah.
You know, we're a community and we're all together in this stuff.
Yeah, the mandate in the hill towns is, well, minimum 97%
Right.
of the hill towns
Right.
have to be covered.
And
So,
that's,
of
you know,
each town.
Right.
So, yeah. And the other small thing that I'll leave you with is, it's gigabit speed to each one of the homes.
Yep.
We're building the electronics so that it takes 10 gigabit, because we believe that's coming quickly
There isn't any doubt in my mind.
to a home.
Right.
So, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy where we are. So, all right.
All right, thank you for your time, gentlemen.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Bye-bye now.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll see you now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I don't have one with me, but Rich will give one to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
So they put down the old business.
Yes.
Hold on.
What's that?
Oh, you got the dog. Here,
Yeah,
good job.
we're fine. All right. Up next is the dog hearing continuance. Do I need to read this again?
No.
If it's continuance?
You should.
All right. All right, so I need a motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. I will read the notification again. So it's a dog complaint concerning dog owned by David and Caitlin, I thank you. I'm gonna screw that up all night. Caitlin Masai, and housed at 10 Claus Anderson, must be Road, Southwick, Mass. 01077. Nature of complaint: alleged violation of MGL Chapter 140, Section 157, concerning vicious dogs, nuisance, barking, or other disturbance, annoyance to sick person, dogs at large, attacks on other dogs, and Southwick Town Code, Chapter 69, Sections 11, 12, and 16 included. Complaint is Ms. Alyssa McGuire, am I close? Did I say it right? Of 2 Claus Anderson Road, Southwick, Mass. 01077. So next up would be all parties that are included, which is the Masais, and it looks like Alyssa McGuire would need to be sworn in.
Any other people that are going to give testimony also, Mr. Chairman?
Do we just stick to the ones that are in the complaint?
No, I think it'd be anybody that is going to give testimony.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a dog officer here. And,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Okay,
no, the assistant dog officer. So I'd ask anybody to stand and raise their name.
okay.
State their name, address, and raise their hand. One at a time.
Go ahead.
Start right there.
Tracy Root, 25 George Loomis, Southwick, Mass.
Liz Bennett, 16 R. Enders Road, West Granby, Connecticut.
All right.
David Masai, 10 Claus Anderson Road, Southwick.
Caitlin Masai, 10 Claus Anderson Road, Southwick. Lillian Cannon, 5 Foot First Avenue.
Nicholas Cannon, 2 Claus Anderson, Southwick.
Melissa McGuire, 2 Claus Anderson, Southwick.
Okay.
Officer Arduini, I work for the South Coast Department, and the court officer, so I'm going to be here to read testimony from Sergeant Corrupto.
Okay. Good. All right, have a seat, folks. All right. We've only done a few of these in our years here, so bear with us. Okay. So the complaint makes statement regarding alleged violations. That would be the McGuire's, right. So ma'am, Alyssa, come on up.
Say what you want to say.
How are you?
Okay.
What would you like to discuss about this?
Tell them what happened.
I was outside walking my dog between 4:30 and 5 p.m. in the cornfield like I always have.
Yeah.
And I see 2 dogs on the field. And it was going to the restroom and they started barking and I thought, oh, they're just barking, whatever, they're barking. And then they started coming at me and I picked my dog up and they started coming towards me. I thought they wanted to sniff me. I don't know what they were going to do, and then they started biting him. And that's when I started screaming for help, and it took so long for somebody to come help me. I couldn't get anybody to help me. I was scared, and they just kept biting him, and then they pulled him from me, and then he was on the ground. And then he was just trying to defend himself, and the dogs were over him. And I picked him up, and then the dogs were still all over him, and then finally I saw Caitlin running towards me to help with the dogs. And then Kai eventually dropped out of my arms again and broke free from his leash because he was on a leash. And we ran towards my apartment door. And with Caitlin's help, she was trying to help me get the dogs away from my dog. She was protecting him too. And then finally I was able to pick up Clyde away from the dogs, and I brought him inside, trying to bring him inside, but the dogs were still nipping at him as I was shutting the door. And then Clyde was safe inside. And then she said she was going to go bring her dogs back home and she'll be back.
Okay. Thank you. All right. It looks like I need other parties such as police. So who would like to do it first?
I could just read the,
Sure.
the report there. Okay, this report was prepared by Detective Sergeant Krutka. He was the first one to arrive on the scene. He was the one that was called. On October 8, 2018, at approximately 16:45 hours, this hour was dispatched at 2 Klein Road for the report of a dogfight that just occurred between the reporting party's canine and 2 canines belonging to their neighbor, David Masai. Dispatcher Strongman informed me the ACO route had already been contacted. Upon arrival, I observed 2 individuals, later identified as Alyssa McGuire and her boyfriend, Nicholas Cannon. Alyssa was carrying a small canine that was wrapped in a blanket. I observed this canine to have bloody spots all over, which appeared to be the result of dog bites. I also observed several bigger bites on the dog's right rear quarter. The canine, later identified as Clyde, did not appear to be stressing from its wounds, although it was obvious the canine needed immediate medical treatment. I asked Alyssa what had happened. She stated she was walking her 8-year-old Jack Russell on a lead in their backyard. She stated she was walking around the garage and she observed 2 dogs come around the rear of the garage very quickly. She stated that the 2 dogs just came right at her and attacked her dog. They would not stop. She stated she was trying to get them away from her dog as she was screaming for help. Alyssa stated she was screaming for her boyfriend who was in the house. She stated that a short time later her neighbor's wife, owner of the 2 dogs, came running around the corner and started to help get the dogs under control. She stated that 2 of them were able to separate the dogs and they went back into their own yards. At this time, I observed the 2 transport their dog to the Southwick Animal Hospital and I would meet them there. Before making my way to the Southwick Animal Hospital, I made my way over to the Masai residence. Once there, I spoke to Caitlin Masai. I asked her what had happened, and she stated that she had just let the dogs out and they were running around their yard. She stated that she did not see them leave the yard. Caitlin stated that a few minutes later, she heard a neighbor screaming and she ran as fast as she could to help her. Caitlin stated that she quickly got her dogs under control and brought them back to their home. This officer observed several scrapes and superficial wounds on Miss Masai's hands and advised her to get them cleaned up as soon as possible. I asked her when was the last time that she had a tetanus shot, and she stated she could not remember. So she was advised to consider a booster tetanus shot as well. A few moments later, I met Alyssa, Nicholas's boyfriend, at the Southwick Animal Hospital. Clyde was taken in by the staff for treatment. I briefly spoke with Alyssa again, and she was now cleaning up her own wounds. Alyssa appeared to have some superficial bites and scrapes on her hands. The staff at the animal hospital advised her she should probably go to the emergency room and have her injuries cleaned up for a tetanus shot. ACO Root called this officer via cell phone. She advised this officer that if everybody, including the victim's dog, was okay, she will address this in the morning. This officer advised Alyssa of my conversation with ACO Root, and she stated she understood. Nothing further to add, Sergeant Truckler.
Thank you.
Does Tracy have anything to add?
Anything from you, Tracy, at this point?
Well, when dispatcher Strong Room called me, he said that Tom Krucka was on his way to the call. I stated that he could take care of it and I would discuss things in the morning. I did get in touch with Mr. Cannon regarding everything. We kept in constant contact. I did tell them to get their dog to an emergency vet right away, that Southwick was still open. And the following day, Liz Bennett, who is my assistant, and I went and talked to Alyssa regarding everything that happened.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other witnesses that would like to give testimony that was actually there? You guys want to be up next? That was there for this.
I was there after because I was asleep inside because I had a load going out that night.
Okay.
So I woke up to the aftermath of her coming in, wake me up after
Yep.
she got quiet inside.
Okay. Anything you want to add to this?
Well, I'm more concerned for her safety because she can't even go outside right now without completely freaking out over anything coming across the backyard at night during the day. She hears the sound. She definitely has a lot of emotional turmoil due to this, and
Understood. That's it. Okay, thank you. All right. I'm sure Mrs. Masai, you were there, so what would you like to say? Come on up. Sure, come on up. Yes, absolutely.
I had gotten home after a golf tournament, and I went there with my friend Ashley, who was a witness to all of this. And I let my dogs out. I was standing next to my sliding glass door, and I heard screaming. So it was within moments. I got out of my house. I was at the top of the hill of my lawn. I could see them in my line of sight before they had approached her. She had already been holding her dog that did not have a leash on it. My dogs, they circled around her. Not once did they touch her. I didn't see them nip at the dog at all. She let go of the dog, and the dog went running towards its home. That's when my dogs, who felt like they wanted to play, they saw something small, they wanted to play. So when I was able to get to them, I instinctively laid my body on top of her dog because I knew that my dogs are not capable of ever biting a human. They know the difference. They were honestly just trying to be playful. When I was laying on top of the dog, I sustained multiple injuries to my hands. I told her that I was going to bring my dogs, put them in their crate, and then come back so I could check in on her and her dog. I felt terrible. So I went back, and her dog, it had cuts on it. It wasn't in any distress. It wasn't crying, it wasn't shaking or anything like that. So I felt, that it was gonna be okay, that there were superficial wounds. So I had apologized, we kind of left on decent terms. The next day I went to her house to check in on them again. And I walked into a very confrontational environment because she was not there. And her boyfriend had threatened to shoot my dogs. So I'm just bringing that up as I feel that my dogs aren't the ones that are dangerous. He's the one that's dangerous. And my dog, we have 3 young kids that play with our dogs all the time. They hang on them. My daughter thinks they're horses. She rides on them. We've never had an issue with them nipping or anything. People that walk into our house, they don't even get barked at. They're really friendly, good animals, and Dave has done a lot to train them, and specifically for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So I covered everybody?
David wants
Sir?
to say.
Yes.
So I brought the board a series of photos for your review.
Wonderful.
And in reviewing the photos, you are going to see multiple images that my wife sustained from Clyde. The cuts, the puncture wounds on my wife's hand, she now has nerve damage from the dog. There's no way my dog bit a human this day. Okay. Included there are photographs of my wife's hands with a measurement, half-inch measurements. Included with these photos are measurements of my dog's jaw, which are not half-inch apart, they're 1.5 inches apart, much larger than half an inch. Included with these photos are images of cat litter that have been placed on my fence from a adjacent neighbor who was intentionally trying to lure my dog into his yard. I have made a incident report with the Southwick Police Department in regards to this ongoing harassment of a neighbor baiting my dog into his yard. There was a prior incident with a fence issue which was resolved immediately, and I had conversation with that neighbor. Along with the photos, you're going to see photos of my dogs, Luna and Levi, from puppy age, with my kids laying on top of them out of a kennel. You're going to see a photo of my daughter the day we brought our dog home. You're going to see photos of my son. You're going to see photos, a great photo of my daughter playing with the dog in our backyard with the residents that Mr. Candon and Miss McGuire rent. You can see it's very close proximity. My dogs I brought with me. They are licensed with the town. They have all of their rabies vaccinations up to date until 2021. If the board would like to see that, it is here for you to see. I also brought with me an outline of Mass General Law, Chapter 140, Section 157, which talks about a nuisance dog, a dangerous dog. And it says within the statute that no dog shall be deemed dangerous based upon the breed of the dog. If the dog was reacting to another animal or a person, or if the dog was reacting to a person or the dog's reaction was not grossly disproportionate to any of the following circumstances. One of the circumstances that I have outlined is that the dog was protecting its owner, or the dog was playfully engaged with another animal. This is Mass General Law 140-157. It goes on for multiple pages. It does not pertain to my dogs. Within the general laws, it talks about the dogs being spayed, which my dog is spayed. It talks about the dogs being microchipped, which my dogs are microchipped. ACO wrote, microchip my dogs. Never once in the statement from the Southwick Police Department or ACO Route was I questioned, or my wife questioned, in regards to the incident that occurred. There are multiple inconsistencies with Ms. McGuire's statement compared to what she just told the board. And I highlighted them in the statements given. I'm not sure, but I don't believe that Clyde was licensed with the town.
Yes, he was.
He was licensed with the town
Yep, he was licensed the week before.
the week prior. We've been a resident of Claus Anderson for 12 years. My dogs have been a resident there for 2 years. Clyde's been a resident of that address for weeks. Weeks. My dogs are not dangerous. The day after it happened, I went over and I sincerely apologized up and down to Miss McGuire. I apologize. I told Miss McGuire, anything you need, let me know. I immediately called the vets and paid $5,000 in vet bills for Clyde. I'm horrified that Clyde passed away. I have no words can take back Clyde, and I again sincerely apologize to you again. But to label my dogs dangerous based upon one incident is unfair. I'm being targeted specifically because I am a police officer in town. I've got one neighbor to me that is jaded because we did a raid on their house. They don't like that I'm a cop, and they've called our department multiple times to complain to our chief about me coming home and about my dogs. There's incident reports that say my dogs were in their yard going to the bathroom. I had a conversation with that neighbor, and he said, your dogs never went to the bathroom in my yard. I don't know what you're talking about. The girlfriend called and complained about us. This all stems because I'm an officer in this town, and she was doing unjust things and did not like it. What about all the numerous dogs in our neighborhood that run free? When there was a complaint about my dogs, I immediately put a fence up between my yard and the neighbor's yard. And to my knowledge, has there been an issue since then, Mr. Frapier?
A couple times, yeah. They have been.
Okay.
Okay.
Since this incident occurred, I installed runners, and since October 8th, I don't think there's been a single incident because my dogs do not go outside unless they're on a runner at this point. Again, I cannot apologize enough to Miss McGuire, but to deem my dogs dangerous is unjust and unfair when I have 3 young children in my house that ride them as horses. You'll also see that there's photographs in here that you can review of my dogs with other animals. My dogs get along great with other animals.
Okay, thank you. That's it. I need a motion to close the hearing.
Well, before we do.
Yeah, I got a couple
Well,
of questions.
Before? Oh, that's fine.
Yeah,
go ahead.
before, I mean, we have a letter here from the ACO. I'd like to go over that letter.
Yep. I'm just going by the bullet points.
Tracy, the letter that you wrote on October 17, 2018. I want to read that into the record.
October 17th, 2018, to address to the Select Board, Town of Southwick, 454 College Highway, Southwick, Mass. Dear Sirs, in the case of the dog bite concerning Dave Masai's 2 dogs, Levi and Luna, and Nicholas Cannon and Alyssa McGuire's dog Clyde, I am not an animal behaviorist, and this is a case of pack mentality as I see it. By the law, a dog that bites unprovoked is considered dangerous. The only recommendation I can offer is from the state statute for dangerous dogs. The dog should be enclosed in a pen at least 12 by 12 per dog with suitable shelter. The pen should have a top and a bottom to prevent the dogs from climbing or digging out. When off property, the dogs must be leashed with no more than a 6-foot lead and managed by an adult able to handle the dogs. Each dog should be wearing a muzzle when off property. These are my recommendations, as I stated, I am not a behaviorist. The final say is up to the select board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Or I could say something. Because I know something about this.
Douglas?
I'm confused.
Can I speak?
You're sworn in.
Yeah, it's a swearing.
You were sworn in, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
Yes.
Name?
Alyssa is my son's girlfriend.
Her name is Melanie.
And I came that evening, or to the veterinarians. I'm the one that took that dog up to Boston, or to South Deerfield. He was a mess. He was attacked by 2 dogs, and they were not on their property. These dogs were on my uncle's property, behind the house, and they didn't belong there. They came over, they attacked this small dog. That dog didn't provoke anything. That dog is a great dog. It was 8 years old, and it did pass. And it's terrible because there's no reason that dog should have ever gotten bitten up like it did. And she has pictures to show you. If you haven't seen any pictures, those pictures are there. But there's just no reason that 2 dogs come running across 400 feet to attack take a dog out of somebody's arms and viciously attack all the way to the house. And the pictures show it for what that dog has for wounds. I mean, it's just awful. And I'm sorry. You know, I feel for 2 dogs, you know, maybe if they just more training, maybe being separated and trained, they may be somewhat, you know, but being together, I think, as the dog warden has said, you know, it's a pack mentality. And I think they've been hunting up in those fields, and they've been allowed to kill things because they've been off their leads, and they have been running in the fields. And they shouldn't be in the fields. And, you know, an innocent person was there that day and got hurt, you know, and a dog was there that day that got hurt very badly to the point he's not here as a family pet anymore. So I hope you take that into consideration, because to me, having a dog come at you and also to follow him all the way to the house and into our house, that's vicious.
Thank you.
Did you seek medical attention?
I did.
Okay. And what, not to pry too much, but was it just a booster shot or stitches?
I didn't get stitches. I did get a hand x-ray just to make sure there were no teeth shards in my hand. And then I also got a tetanus shot.
Okay. Which dog do you believe caused that damage to you?
I'm not sure. They both look almost the same. They're both Belgian Malamutes.
But it wasn't your dog that did that to you? Okay. All right. Doug?
That was one of my questions, thank you. The other your injuries,
Were much worse, and I did not go to the hospital.
so my question is, what dog did the damage to your hand, do you believe?
It was her dog, because when I laid on top of it to get it away, it was scared and just it bit me.
But there's no doubt that your dogs were on their property near where their dog was.
That's correct, but I also want to add in something else, that I did see everything that had happened, and my dogs they never ever came in contact with her. And when she dropped her dog, she stood in the field. She didn't come with me. So my dogs never were in contact specifically with her and able to bite her. I think that maybe her dog was scared and bit her. I just don't know how that possibly could have happened.
But there's no doubt that, in your opinion, that the injuries to Clyde were caused by your two dogs? No doubt. And any reason why they would do that?
Because they're puppies and they saw something small and ran after it, like any normal animal does.
So you also have to take into consideration the breed itself. A Belgian Malinois was bred specifically for herding. So when it sees a small animal, it doesn't know the difference between a sheep, a dog, a rat.
And it never will.
It never will.
Okay.
It will never know the difference, but it wants to play. You put a ball in front of this dog, it just plays nonstop. The town owns one. The town has owned 2 of these dogs. These dogs play nonstop. When it sees something, a little marble in its head goes, I gotta play with it, I gotta play with it. They're not vicious dogs. They play rough. I have video, I can show the board of my dogs playing rough. You're gonna put a 93-pound dog against an 8-pound Chihuahua Jack Russell mix? Again, I'm devastated by what happened, but
But it could happen again. Because they're gonna wanna play, and I understand what you're saying. Their playing version is much different than a
it's not
10-pound Chihuahua
malicious.
with an
It's
8.
not malicious in nature.
In nature, but in the end, this is where we're at. And I understand what you're saying. I don't even wanna be here today, because I am aggravated with the whole thing, just like everyone in this room is. And yes, there was never your intent, and it never will be your intent. I understand that. And it was never your intent to lose a dog that day. No one's. You're walking your dog, you let them out like you normally do. For some reason, they've been there 2 weeks, they happened to see the pup, and off they went. And they played with them till it was too late. I understand. So we can look at all the pictures we want. Yes, you got injured. You got injured. We can all argue about who bit who. The bottom line is there's a dog that's dead. Your dogs think they're playing. That's not going to go away. And you even said that. Whether it's this dog or, hopefully a bigger dog someday that will then turn around and to explain to your dogs how the life really works. But I doubt that'll ever happen because those dogs are what they are. That's my opinion. Douglas?
Well, I first want to apologize for this whole thing. I mean, this is the second dog hearing
it sucks.
we've had, and they
Yes.
suck. I get it. And secondly, Mr. Masai, I want to be clear. First I read about this was when it was on our agenda. So I don't think this has anything, for me personally, has nothing to do with you being a police officer in the town of Southwick. In fact, when we adjourn this part of the hearing, I'm going to consult with Carl and town attorney to see if this needs to be abdicated out of here. We are police commissioners, right? So directly or indirectly, we have some supervisory issues with yourself as a police officer, and I don't want that to be an issue for this hearing. Now, I'll consult with the CAO and the town attorney to make sure that this shouldn't something that should be abdicated out of here, and that might not even be the right word, to be heard, right, by someone who's more impartial than us. So when the time comes to render a decision in this issue, if we should have standing to do so.
I would like to add, I'm not saying I'm being singled out by the board.
I get it.
No,
I just want to be clear because
Right.
there isn't. To me, that's certainly an issue at play here. From just where I sit, and I want to make sure that we do everything correct. I mean, and furthermore, I think it's to Joe's point, it's sad when Clyde is gone, and I don't hear anything that refutes the fact that if this happened tomorrow, the result would be any different. It's the dog, and I'm going to go back and as part of this is go back and read the Mass General Law that you cited and from Ms. Root and her recommendations as to what is a potential way forward here. I get it that the dogs think they're playing, but the other dog's dead, and if they had another small dog at the other neighbor or whatever, it could happen again. That's unacceptable, right? We've been down this road. We had another situation with another dog I'll be very honest with you, that was much more of an owner issue than a dog issue. I don't think that's the case here, but we have to look at that whole thing and see what's the best solution for the town at large, such that other people should have the right to the enjoyment of their property, and if they choose to have a small dog, that they should be able to have that right, just like anyone else has a right to have a dog or a cat in the town, right? So it's troubling to me that on its face and it's not picking on not indicting the breed, because I've been not a big proponent of pit bulls are dangerous or this kind of dog is dangerous, but what you said to us is that the dog would do it again tomorrow, and that's concerning to me. So maybe there needs to be a remedy.
The dog won't kill, it wants to play again.
I get it, but but the dog played with Clyde till he was dead, or almost dead, and he died the next day. I don't know what's the remedy to that situation. I don't know. There has to be something. You should be able to have your dog. I get it, and he should be confined to your property. I get it. Maybe it's not the definition of a finding of a dangerous dog even, but maybe there needs to be a remedy to ensure or guarantee that these dogs stay on your property. Maybe the run is sufficient. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Okay, but Ms. McGuire needs to, and other neighbors need to have the ability to have a dog that they're walking in their backyard and without fear of your two dogs coming to play, which was fatal for Clyde. That's a concern of mine.
Liz Bennett, Assistant Animal Control Officer. I've dealt with dogs. I have a degree in veterinary nursing. I've dealt with dogs for 30 some odd years. My experience is that, yes, when you get to the middle of a dog fight, you guys are going to get bit.
Yeah.
I've been bitten by my own dogs. I also euthanize my own dogs because of their behavior. Because I was an animal control officer before this, I felt that if my dogs were acting in this way, they were not safe. And I held myself at a higher standard because I was in law enforcement, that I should have, I don't want to say better behaved dogs, but you know what I mean. My experience with dogs, and I know you said that you're quoting the statutes that says we cannot base it on the breed, and then you're starting to go into the Malinois as a breed. The Malinois is about as high up energy level and intelligence. It's why they're used in law enforcement so much, because they are extremely intelligent. They're also extremely motivated. In my experience as an animal control officer, as an animal rescue person, as a trainer with dogs, I have found that once they cross this line of play versus killing, they're not going to play anymore. They're going to go and cross that border again, which is again why I had to euthanize two of my dogs. One was a shepherd as well, because they crossed that line and they were going into the next phase would have been killing another animal, and I could not allow that as far as any of my animals go. But it's not something that they will now back off of as far as their next creature that they find. I love the Malinois. I won't take them into my rescue because I can't mentally keep them stimulated enough. They're just really, really intense dogs, and they're fabulous dogs as far as their intelligence goes. But again, once they've crossed that line, it's very difficult, if not impossible, because they've got that pack mentality. It's, you're doing that, okay, I want to do that too. They're going to do it again. And it's not going to be an if they do this again, it's going to be when they do this again. And it's unfortunate that they've crossed that line. I don't know, as far as a trainer goes, how you can back them down to wanting to do this again, because it was a game to them. I'm sure it was a game to them. It's a game that went way too far. And I saw the dog the day after, well, what was it, Monday? Yeah. We saw the dog. I went and visited this dog. They were very deep puncture wounds. And the fact that the dog was not, the fact that the dog seemed calm after the attack was simply the dog was in amazing amount of shock. I've dealt with that before as well as a vet nurse and as an animal control officer. When a dog is attacked by another dog, sometimes they just go into shutdown. They just completely shut down. And you think, oh, this is a very calm animal. no, they've just completely shut down, and they're in complete shock. So I guess long and short of it is, there's gotta be a way to, there's no way to back the dogs down, as far as I know, from wanting to do this again, because when they get this ball rolling with the two of them going, it's just gonna snowball. And that's really the big tragedy here, is that it's just gonna snowball. And I can't see that it is not going to happen again without some severe intervention. Whether it's training, letting one out and not letting the other one out until that one's come back. Again, it's the tag team, pack mentality. They love to do this, and they love to play. It's just when they take that play to the next level, and it can be an oops, but they took it to the next level, and it's very hard to get them to back down again. So, I mean, just as a, like I said, as an animal rescue, ex-animal control officer and vet nurse, it's a tough road, and I don't envy being in your guys' shoes at all.
Thank you. Anything more?
Yeah, I think.
Motion to continue? Or do we close the hearing?
I think we have to continue.
We have to continue.
I think so.
Yep.
For what? You want to get legal clarification?
Well, I want to get that, and I don't know if, I think we should, just for the safety of the board and for all the parties involved and for clarity. And if I could ask one, and I have to understand the statute a little bit better too, but, you know, one of the remedies that have been tried before, I don't know that, like, to your point, I get it, but one of them is to keep these dogs from getting at another dog is to put a condition on the owner to provide an area, maybe not to the extent that was suggested in Ms. Root's letter, maybe a fenced yard or so on and so forth
The problem
to
with
keep the
fenced
dog
yard
contained.
is that a Malinois has the intensity and the ability to scale that fence. So if it's a fenced-in area, you can understand, this is a dog that is just like no other in their intelligence. They have that athletic ability to scale. They could be up and over. So if it is a fence, you're gonna have to make sure it's big, pretty high fence.
Get it.
I don't know what
That's all I got for tonight, boys.
I mean, I would talk to a behaviorist at some point if that's what would help.
Well, they'd spend all day on me.
No, we're not talking behaviors for you.
There is a.
I don't think it should be continued. I think we should close the hearing. I think we've heard the testimony. Right, absolutely.
Okay.
So I make a motion to close the hearing.
I've heard my piece.
Yep. I'll second the motion to close the hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, I'll vote to close the hearing.
Okay. And then we'll reach out and make no decision today and see where we're at with our legal stance. Okay. All right, so we close the hearing. We're not going to make a decision tonight. We're going to reach out and see what we need or not need to do, and then we'll come back at a, what do we have?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We're not meeting next week because of the holiday.
What holidays next week? Oh, Thanksgiving already? Jesus. So the week after, we'll be on the agenda, the 27th.
In the meantime, are the dogs under your control right now? Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
She said make a motion to close the hearing, that's why I said that. I wasn't even, then it was deliberating and, you know, finding the fact, so that's why I made a motion. No, it's all good.
I get it.
I wasn't trying to rush it. I just,
Let's start this research.
no, absolutely, no, we will, yes.
Now you can.
Okay. All right, next up looks like is the snowplow vendors.
Right. We need a motion to adopt the.
So moved.
And just find it.
Yeah, that's what
Way I'm way off. Okay, snowplow
At
vendors.
the table when you made the motion.
I made a motion to approve the snowplow.
I'll second the motion.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And it looks like there's 6 from Kane's Mechanical, 4 from Great Brook, 1 for James Grinnell's, 4 from Mark's Property Service, and 4 from Solak Masonry. And Mr. Fox, if you could keep this cart handy at your
Well, that's
place
what
of
I was gonna
business.
ask for, Mr.
This
Mine,
way,
it's kind of tough.
Can we get
telling
the
them.
actual color one? Yeah, please, thank you.
yes, I'll give that to Mr. Fox, because I don't really, they just call and complain anyways. But you can then break it down with this chart of who's in charge of what area,
You got
which
it.
will give you less calls to the DPW to ask them. I think
Absolutely.
that's kind of where that's
And
coming
it'll
from.
make it life a lot easier,
Lot
Mr.
easier.
Chairman, thank you.
All right.
Somebody's gotta do it.
How are you?
Oh, I didn't even, I'm so sorry.
Did you just come in just this minute?
Okay.
I swear it wasn't here.
Anything you want to talk about with snow plowing, you're good?
Maybe Thursday, so.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 to 4 inches or
I
something?
signed off on the other dump truck to put on.
Oh, the new truck came in?
Ready to go?
It's all set for McKay to bring it to the registry.
And what truck will come off?
We already sold it.
Oh, that's right, because the one
Sterling.
blew up,
This
and then
was a
the,
Sterling.
and then the other one, okay.
Well, no, this is not, this is a 550, it's not, this is the one, it's the bigger 1-tons, it's, the other one won't be hit till near Christmas, that's in Hartford being outfitted.
Okay, but the bigger 1-ton is replacing one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both are replacing.
And we already sold the one it's replacing. Well, what are the odds of that? We never do that
Sell
quick.
past the closed.
But we never do that. Usually it sits around
I
for
don't
6
know.
months.
Congratulate him and move
Because
on.
the title was good, the VIN was good.
big
Wow.
truck, keep talking.
Well done,
No,
sir.
no, I understand that, but we never, usually it sits for 8 months because we might need it, because something breaks, you know.
Well done, sir. Next.
No, just, that's really what happens. It's okay. Should we blow the rear end out of that one too, but no. All right,
Try,
acceptance
Randy,
of donation. All right, so next up is Western Mass Rendering Company Incorporated is pleased to give an unrestricted contribution to the town of Southwick in the amount of $9,339.
29.
I'm sorry, $29. I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor? Aye.
And I know
Should we sign? I
I'm
think
gonna
we
be
should sign.
repetitive, I say it every year, but.
Please do.
The Plakas family and Western Mass Rendering have been a great asset to the town of Southwick.
They really have.
They do a tremendous amount for the town. The father was a selectman.
Oh, was
many
he?
moons ago. So, community service first.
Wow. All right, next up is the alum treatment funding update.
You have a letter from the Lake Management
Okay.
and Conservation Commission that would like you to be aware of some stuff that they're trying to get through the earmark.
Oh,
State
yes.
legislature.
That time of year.
And
yeah.
they would like to have members of the board speak to members of the legislature to help secure the release of those funds from the earmark.
All right, that's a great project for Mr. Fox. I'm sure he'll do a fine job.
And, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I talked to both legislators already. They're well aware of it and are diligently working to achieve.
Wonderful. We appreciate all you do, Mr. Fox, when it comes to those legislators. Takes a crafty person to sit down with some of those guys. All right. That was the, next up is the, well.
Jeez.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not a vision, let me check. Glasses. Yeah, I still see her. You sure it's not her sister, though? That's
I'm
the
not
$1,000,000
sure.
question. That is the $1,000,000
I'm
question.
not sure of that myself.
She's actually pretty quiet, the other one I met her. She's quiet.
Cindy, where's is the MOU with
Okay.
us too? It's attached to it? It's attached to it.
So right in front of me is just the letter, and then there's a, oh, taser, now they want tasers.
Yeah, that's not.
Forget
Yeah,
that.
get easy on them.
Yeah.
It's a signed thing I put on your.
The MOU. Okay, I can read this though, right?
Yeah.
We'll
Shall we do that?
authorize the
Yeah, we're
chair to
just gonna
sign
authorize-
that.
We'll authorize the chair to sign. If the chief's still around, he might be on the bus. All right, this is from Chief Kevin Bishop. I am interested in utilizing Kelly Parks as a provisional officer to temporarily alleviate the staffing shortage due to Sergeant Sanders' extended medical leave. along with Sergeant Sanders' leave, we are also anticipating another shortage to our staffing as Officer Parks will be on military leave from November 25th through December 15th. This provisional officer will be initially utilized for a period of time agreeable to the union and myself. I am asking for this provision for two reasons. One, it would keep us at our staffing level that we presently had established prior to Sergeant Sanders going out. And two, adding Reserve Officer Parks as a provisional would assist me in not having to reduce the overtime budget because many of the shifts that the two officers will be absent will be needed to be filled with overtime. And guys in their overtime.
So Doug has in front of him the negotiated MOA that Fred and the chief and I worked with
And
Mike
to-
Westcott and his people.
To be clear, in your letter,
Yes, sir.
you mispronounced Officer Parker.
Oh,
is
I
the
did.
one
I
who's
said
going
Parks,
out on
right?
military, not Officer
Oh,
Parks.
I was wondering about that.
Correct.
I'm like, why the hell are we
Yeah,
putting her on
We're smarter
for her
than
to
that.
leave?
We're smarter than that.
Yeah. Well, I
yes, it's
appreciate
Officer
that.
Parker. That's
Yeah.
No relation.
No
Going
relation.
out on military leave.
Yeah, the other one blushes really quickly. This one
That's
doesn't.
Parker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the difference. Definitely.
Correct.
Well, he's
And
married.
so we do have,
He is married, but he can still blush.
believe me.
Yeah.
And there is an MOU between the town of Southwick and the IBPA Local 384. It's already signed by the IBPO 384 regarding
It's ready for Joe to
the MOA for
Right.
for this position to be
Okay.
created.
Make a motion for the chair to sign.
Is there a
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And since she can't see half the staff that's out in the hallway, is it a thumbs up or thumbs down?
We voted on it.
All right, just want to make
And I-
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
They gave it to me signed.
I understand. I still can have fun with the audience. It's been a rough night. All right, so I will sign this. All right.
Go to work,
You need
be
to vote on
safe.
that, right? They voted on the MOA, you need to vote to
So-
put her on as a
I
POS,
need,
as a
I need a
policeman.
motion to approve the POS as a policeman.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sign it anyways.
Congratulations, Ms. Potts.
Yes. Don't disappoint me. What? Is that being too nice?
No, I think it's amazing. I mean, we put on her and Bridges came on the same night.
They
As
did.
reserves. Bridges is now a full-time police officer.
She's
Ms.
prac-
Parks has done about everything in town, from the RAD class to the Citizens on Patrol to, I can't even imagine what else she's done.
Right.
Has she been down the senior center doing yoga?
So we can go
Probably.
right on to-
And,
Oh, here we go.
and, you know, doing all the right things.
She did a fantastic job. She just didn't.
She didn't get run over, so that's good.
I was gonna say, she's the one who didn't get hit by a car,
Yeah,
so that
that's
she's got
good.
that going for
Well,
her.
when the other officer came in, he sent her out, and he didn't do half the job that she did.
I think I know who that was, too.
Well, ma'am-
You can name Mr. Sergeant Banish by name if you
I
want.
don't care. I'm saying what I saw, and she did. She helped the elderly people. She did everything.
So what was the name of that officer?
Ma'am, it
You
comes,
know who it was.
It comes with,
Yes, you
174.
do, and he was so fresh.
sometimes those seasoned veterans need to sit down like
Yes,
that.
they need to be talked to.
Yeah, we'll work on that, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
And I'll be glad to give you his name and rank.
Great,
No, we have cameras, we're all set. All right,
great. Thank you
Okay.
and congratulations.
yes. She must not have offered him any dessert.
No, we did not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right.
Motion
Skip the Sofinowski.
Yeah.
It's on hold.
It's on hold.
Right to the
Concom
tasers.
tabled it themselves.
That's fine. Tasers. Up next is the, Chief, well, it's Lieutenant Robert Landis.
See here.
No, he's on.
It's a proposal of a three-year lease agreement, and they would use their forfeiture monies for year one.
Yeah.
And they would need your support in the budget process for years 2 and 3. And they would also be going to the Finance Committee at their meeting on the 26th to go over the same thing with the Finance Committee to concur with your action tonight. And they're
So,
basically
so the
going-
first payment's always the smallest, right? That's what I'm seeing?
Well, it's coming out of forfeiture.
I understand that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they went back and forth on,
Because
some of this was the,
this is to make sure that below the chief and lieutenant, that everyone gets assigned one so that it's not, they're not being shared. And that was their research that led them to make this proposal.
Are they sharing them now, I take it?
Yes.
Any chance we could meet jointly with Lieutenant Landis and maybe a representative of the Finance Committee and ourselves to discuss this and maybe how much money is available under forfeiture to ease the pain?
Designate one of the board members to do that.
Right, to maybe...
Because they're going to the FinCom on the 26th and you meet the 27th.
Right.
Oh, for this, they're going there?
Right.
Yeah, because this, the FinCom would have to also concur with your approval if you were to so give it, because it's a budget commitment for year 2 and 3 in the budget document.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing, but let's talk about the dollars and cents and what we got in forfeiture money and what can we do in years 2 and 3.
The board just needs to designate one of its members to do that with me and the lieutenant. We can do that. If you want to restructure the 3 years.
Yeah, I would love to do a reversal. That forfeiture take care of 9930. And then that breaks us down to 5 and 5.
Well, they used some of that to replace the balance in the cruiser. That was
this is the trades for the old ones.
Oh,
is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I talked to him briefly about it, but.
All right,
when we go to
so,
the budget meeting, I'll go to the budget.
And the only reason why I would suggest that is we have 2 new people in those positions and they're not as familiar with the budget process as some people.
Yep. So Mr. Mogan can reach out with Mr. Steinhardt and deal with that. Do they need an answer by this week or something? Is there
No.
anything? Okay, perfect.
No,
Great.
This sometime. I think they were hoping
Yep.
to finalize it that other week when they meet with the FinCom. That's
Perfect. So we'll table this for now, and Mr. Mogan, when you have time, you can
Got it.
Motion to table?
motion to table and put Steinhardt and
Or carried under old business.
Moglen under it. Or yeah, I'm sorry, old
Which would you
business.
prefer?
Old business.
Old business.
Yeah.
We didn't table it.
And you know what I'm getting at.
No,
John.
absolutely.
I'm not,
No, I'm fine with
I'm
that.
not killing the plan. I'm talking about the money.
Yeah. Yeah, because guess what happens, the year that's not on there, it's gonna be another moving forward, it's gonna be another $9,000 budget item.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what can we do to?
Maybe we can get rid of one of those cruisers.
Right.
Well, you have to look at what their current line item is for those.
Well, and I was just gonna say that too, I think it's like $4,000.
So.
I don't know offhand.
Some of them they got some of those as they were donated, some of them were donated.
It all started because Ralph and Diane Peebles donated them to Rick on their way out the door, which was great.
Right.
It was a great thing, what do you say about those great gifts we get?
They keep on giving.
Yeah, so, and they're great to have, I'm sure it's helped
Absolutely.
us quite a few times.
they've used them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But let's, what do we got for forfeiture money and what can we do?
Yeah.
They said they try out the new ones on the CAO, if that's an incentive.
I don't remember hearing that, but
Well, you weren't in the room when we talked about it.
I thought I was in the only room that it was talked about, but
Yeah, it happens. Okay, roundtable meeting Thursday with the school systems. Looks like it's gonna be 11/20/19 at 5:30. How does that look for you boys?
It's already on I was.
All right, someone
Tortured
tell
to
me an
commit.
hour before.
All 3 going, I'll remind you.
Yeah, definitely gonna remind me. What day is November 29th?
it's a Thursday.
Like it says Thursday.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it does.
it's
Look at
Thursday.
that. That's awesome. Good job. All right, so up next is the appointment of a Southwick Fire Department Support Fire Chaplain, which I think we're going to hold off on.
Right, the chief wanted to hold off on that, so you
Yep.
can move on to the firefighter.
Appointment.
Angelina?
Yep, for Angelina. Did you read it?
Yep, so moved.
Seems okay, yep.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Pending all the necessary.
No,
Yada, yada, yada.
Yada,
Oh,
yada, yada.
and you're not kidding about yada yada. All right. Old business and dates. Did you want to talk about your thing under old business that you did this morning?
Yes.
With your map, did the DPW director see the map?
Randy's gonna help me.
It's actual size.
Did you see that?
Joe.
Oh, you were there? How come our wells aren't on there?
Yes, I don't know.
What is this?
Randy, I gave him a lesson on how to steal a map.
Yeah, I know, I just, well,
I just thought that'd be a nice map.
We were looking at that for quite a while.
do you want the 8x10 glossies?
So the board had instructed me to be the liaison to the aquifer.
It's a good word for it.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. The timing is prescient.
Yes.
For a lot of reasons. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So we met Randy
That's a beautiful
and
map.
David Meswar from the water department, met with
Patty Cambrini.
Patty Cambrini, who works for Pioneer Valley Planning
Yep.
Commission, and she's been doing this for several years, right, with this organization, and they reached out to Southwick and West Springfield to come on board to address aquifer issues. And you could see the layout. Of course, their main thing has been, of course, working with Westfield. We're all aware of the problems they're having up at the Barnes Aquifer. But now Westfield,
The airport contamination, right?
allegedly,
Yeah, allegedly.
and Westfield, I guess, from what she's saying, is kind of going to go on their own, and they're kind of regrouping so that get as many communities involved in this as possible, so that we have probably a little more political influence. And yes, gentlemen, any group that's formed costs money, you know.
Oh.
So I did ask the question. We're talking probably $2,000 to $3,000 annually to be part of this regional approach.
But Randy, you've been paying that anyway, right? Through some of these other fees?
Other committees.
Other committees.
Like
Yeah,
the stormwater committee and,
Right.
highway committees, but not for this committee.
Right, but this would be a new regional committee that we would be getting involved with. But I think the benefits, and Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's tremendous benefit to looking at this as in a regional approach. So,
We were already doing that with some of the other stuff anyway, with West Side.
right. But I think this would help us, you know, because I did mention to her about the importance of the Congamon Lakes acting as a recharge for the aquifer, the importance of keeping the lakes clean. So,
Interesting. Why is the zone 2 missing there in the middle? It almost seems like that logically we can't, but that's probably by study.
right.
Where, the gap here?
Yeah, right in the Westfield area, our zone 2 and their zone 2.
I'm assuming the river has something to do with it.
Yeah,
So this
more
is,
than
this
likely.
feeds here in the river, and that's going north.
Because, yeah.
So this group would kind of help us, give us some technical resources to address stormwater, or not stormwater, but drinking water issues. They're looking to get members, not just from the water department, but they have the planning board, conservation commission, and the board of health involved. So the BayPAC committee that's kind of now disbanded was made up of all those members of Westfield, East Hampton, Southampton, and Woolwich.
Is Agawam gonna be part of the new group?
They weren't mentioned, but you never know. They get their drinking water from Springfield Water and Sewer.
Oh, Cobble Mountain.
At a Cobble Mountain, Granville Reservoir.
Who? Agawam, yeah.
Agawam. So these are all groundwater sources, all of these communities, including Southwick. Cobble Mountain's a surface water source, so this is more focused on groundwater areas. So like I said, it'd be a good technical resource for us, I believe. I think the next step is they're looking to hold like a round table amongst all the potential towns and kind of just give and take, you know, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, how can we make this fit for everybody.
Right.
I think they're looking to hold that hearing sometime in January, and that has nothing set to say yet. But Patty, we'll reach out to you to kind of gauge your interest, and then see if something that the town as a whole would like to, you know, consider moving forward with the next steps.
You think it would be a plus?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like I said, I see it as a technical
Yeah.
resource. We have a couple of big.
Go set that up.
We have a Water Management Act permit, which has expired. We're waiting for DEP to kind of get back to us how
Right.
to do it. As we go through that process, we're gonna be looking at our aquifer anyways and determining
It's everything that you're
how
gonna,
much water do we have available to us? Because right now, we have a cap on how much water we can take.
but you've
out.
been telling me that, right?
So right now, we're pretty much at that cap, you know, so if we
Right.
had someone come in, big water user, come in town tomorrow and say, I wanna move, I don't have water to sell them, fortunately.
Right.
But maybe through this process, we can raise that cap.
This will help us with that.
We can show DEP and other officials that, actually, we do have enough groundwater. It's not gonna cause a detriment to our.
For the yields.
Right.
To the safe yields of the water bodies in the area. So we can increase that withdrawal.
Okay.
In the monies for the organization would be something we could budget during the budget process.
Right, for next for July.
And,
It sounds like
would
they won't be
imagine-
ready by then. They're still forming and.
Yeah,
Yep.
and obviously we could work out something with the water department since it's a benefit to them.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
you know.
absolutely. I'm sure they'd be very interested in this.
Yeah, so Dave Meser was there today, the same meeting, so he's gonna report back to the water commissioners at their next meeting in December.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you.
Awesome.
And I stole the map, so we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's a
They're giving you
beautiful
a new
map.
one, aren't they, right, with the wellheads on it?
Yeah, with the
wellhead
wellheads.
symbols?
With the wellheads.
We can bring it to the next meeting, pull it out and see if they fixed it. Yeah.
Who did that? Did Ray do that map?
This map? Oh, I thought that was, maybe, it could be.
Very nice.
All right, that's
Okay.
my report.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Randy,
Going
you're
away.
gonna take possession of that.
I'll take,
That's beautiful. I could stare at that for hours.
Wow, because it's in, well, just,
No, I don't know. What do you want?
well, the zone two,
Oh, you need it.
unfortunately,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately, our industrial park is in the zone two. So that severely limits what you can and can't do for industrial properties in the town of Southwick. So it's played a key role, I know,
You want me
in,
to keep that? I can give it to him tomorrow?
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So we could,
I'll give
couple
it
of
to you
points of
tomorrow.
discussion, yeah.
That
Randy,
property's
you
in?
going to that other appointment tomorrow?
Yes.
Close.
I need it for
Gotcha.
the other appointment that you
Real close. That's
can't
why
make
I
it
checked,
to.
reach out to Alan first
You know
thing
what
this
I'm saying?
morning, because I know
I think you know what I mean.
we've had an application like that before.
So, yeah, I'll
And
give it
other
back to
types
you.
of things that you
Right, well,
can't
the
do.
Put it on
excavating
your
company
desk.
down there was, that was all issue.
You can't
You
do
put it on
stuff.
my
And the
desk, I'll
fuel
give it back to you.
Right.
was an issue.
Correct. So, and I don't think that's something that's easily, altered, because that's coming from the state. right?
Yeah.
So,
But you're not gonna.
but if, someday when we look to extend that industrial park through when those guys finally finish their work and they come in with their final restorative plans, and whether we look at, and I don't want to, 9 o'clock, look at coming through with Hudson Drive through to Sam West or something like that, you have to be cognizant of what you can and can't do because of Zone 2.
Right.
Right.
Or even some of them
though
come
you're
close to
increasing the
some
size of your industrial park, it'll still always have its limitations
Well,
of what can be.
but some
sited
is
on,
in, some is out, and
permits.
you'd be surprised. The Zone 2 was delineated by a hydrogeological study years ago to
Was that
show.
Dufresne, Henry?
I believe.
It was a long time. It
Out
was
of Vermont?
25 years ago.
Oh,
But
I
it
was around for it.
Well,
Yes.
anyway, it was done because so it does delineate where that water supposedly actually is, versus when that first came in, it was just circles around the well, and you just went out in radius around the well, but it didn't reflect the actual flow of water underground. This does that, so it does show you, so some parcels are in, some are out, and you'd be surprised even where they are or aren't. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Anything else under old business? We got update on
Well,
our
I
have
250th
one
anniversary.
The library is out, the old library is out for sale and,
Oh,
It's
wonderful.
been posted now?
yep. It's
Awesome.
all advertised, people are gonna be writing about it. I've already received some phone calls, people are gonna be going online, and the RP's online for the view, we have hard copies of it. People are gonna be coming to the open house to inspect it on the 29th. Ben will be there with me, because there's gonna be people with questions about the legal aspects of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So that's in motion.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Randy wasn't here, but you had already, we did the award for Ty and Bond a while ago.
Yeah.
Ben is just working with 2 or 3 language changes.
Of course.
But that's fine, that's gonna be fine, and so the board gave that, so those two outstanding issues are underway.
So if we get a price on that house, does that have to go back to town meeting to sell?
No, you have the vote.
We have the vote to do it.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
You just need to execute the appropriate documents, historical preservation restriction,
No, understood.
whether it's a lease agreement or a sale.
But it's nice that whoever's looking at it knows it can actually
We
be
have
sold.
we have the
Right.
authority to do it now.
It's not
Right,
come
in-
spring.
Correct.
in the way the RFP is worded is when the results come in and a panel needs to be looked at, the CAO and CPO will be putting together the panel to review it. For the board of selectmen to examine at a future meeting for award.
Understood. Or reject and keep looking. Right, yep. Anything else under old business?
No, I mean, the
We're good.
250th, we have our regular meeting next Monday at 6:30. It's still open to anybody who'd like to join.
They're meeting across the hall, some of them.
Yep, different work groups are meeting on a regular basis. I think it's coming along, slow but sure. Cindy's going to go meet with the president of the Westfield 350 this week to get an update on how they're doing, because no need to
When you
reinvent
go
the
into
wheel.
that?
I'm actually meeting with them over a different matter,
Okay.
but, yeah.
Yeah, pump them for
Anything he
information.
wants to tell me, he can tell
Oh,
me.
they'll talk. Okay. Anything for you under old business?
Friday, 3 o'clock, pinning ceremony, town hall, right here.
Ooh. How's that snow gonna play into that?
I think that's only a morning.
Hell or high water, we're having it.
That's what I wanna hear.
People are coming from miles around.
And horse and buggy.
Huh?
By Skidoo.
Potentially.
Swim, they're even skiing.
So-
Yeah, there might be skiing here.
There's dog sleds.
Papers, so you might get a good
Yep.
turnout.
So, Friday, 3 o'clock.
Remind me about an hour before on that one too. Okay, no old business.
Okay.
Any new
You have
business?
a major role.
I know, that's what they told me. My wife told me once I had a major role. All right, discussion of use of flaggers, that we're gonna put that off again, right?
Yep.
All right, tablet discussion. What can we do, Mr. Moglen? You're the techie little guy in this room. No, there's no huh. I'm sick of this. I am sick of this.
Well,
Come on.
I'd look into it some more, but I think that the part of the
Okay.
IT study that was done.
Oh, Jesus Christ, 10
Well,
more years.
No,
Right.
well, we got a grant for a significant amount of money.
Right,
I've
but
been
these are
working-
cheap, right?
No,
These-
it's not that. It's the
Okay.
infrastructure to be able to do it. But and part and parcel of that is one of the aspects that was noted in the IT study. There's no Wi-Fi in this building, so
But
it's
do we
almost
need
impossible.
Wi-Fi if we have three
Well,
of them that they've downloaded everything on in that room?
I
Can we-
guess
can we-
you could do
Can we
it.
kill the paper trail and we
Sure.
have one set that can be signed?
Sure.
No, that's what I'm looking at.
I guess you could.
You mean read-only memory.
Yeah, yeah.
It should not be
Question.
editable.
Yeah, I don't
Wouldn't
want-
you
yeah.
Just send the whole meeting as a PDF?
Sure, and then you send it and you look at it on your tablet. And
Yeah,
then
you
I've been
guys-
working with Laura and Jim to move forward on something else, some other piece of this that would make that much easier to do. But yes,
Okay.
you could do it now. You could absolutely do it
And
now.
I'm not trying to, just,
It's not that hard. Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I know every
and we sign
couple
what
of
we
weeks
have
I
to
answer
sign. We'll
my-
still have our real stuff that needs to be signed.
Yep.
Then I can up the font like 160 so I can
Yeah.
actually read everything. And then the nice part is I
So
wouldn't
it's not
screw up
borrowing the reading glasses on my
of
drawers.
where we are. Like, are we on A, B, or C? I mean, we're all gonna swipe
Yeah,
and we're
try
all
and
gonna
help
be
you
on the
out.
next one, and it is what it is.
Okay. Why don't I work with Cindy, see if we can,
Well, I haven't-
I mean,
Pilot
I
one
think they're
out.
kind of inexpensive now.
oh, it's not the money for the tablet itself. It's actually
It's
just getting it
Selectman's
done.
gift account.
Right.
You know?
Past 10:30.
And as long as she could download it easy to all three of them, that's, I think, the key.
It's easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not getting
I guess not. I'm sitting there saying, what
Okay.
happened to
You've
me?
got a
Yeah.
fancy pants new laptop in there. You're all
Yeah,
set.
you're all set.
Well, yeah, she can put it on.
I just think I'm just tired of this
Right.
Every week you gotta go through every 2 months I'm like, yeah, Joe, you can't put nothing in your drawer. I'm like, well, then empty this crap out. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
So, just,
Yeah, and we use a lot of paper too.
Yep.
yeah. And then you gotta
That'll be a
print it,
good
you
project,
gotta,
Christmas to do.
you gotta
Yeah.
staple it, you
We'll work
gotta,
Yeah,
the whole mess,
yeah.
You could probably get rid of a
Yeah.
secretary.
I'm all
Well,
for it.
that's phase 2.
That's phase 2? I'm sorry. Joking. There'll be mean letters tomorrow because of that statement.
D-E-E-D-Y.
Yeah, don't go to town hall tomorrow. All right, anything else under new business?
Carl, we did receive the money under the IT grant already, this, or not yet?
Well, I haven't seen the signed contract come back from them, but it was being processed. I had sent you the update, and the guy says, yes, they received it, and they have it.
The,
Because I'm not sure that may be reimbursable.
I'll talk to you offline, because
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah, because I gotta go to my state vendor. I gotta get moving on this.
the police have an issue, public safety has an issue that's remedied by this.
Yep.
They have budgeted monies this year that I've been telling them not to expend
Right.
pending this other acquisition.
Absolutely.
So I didn't want to spend good money after bad, so I'll confer with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for new business? For
No.
tonight?
No.
Nothing. All right.
Tough meeting.
Folks, we're
Good
gonna
job.
go into executive session
We are.
to reconvene.
Have a good night.
Good night, Randy, thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Good luck with the new truck.
This here? Read all this?
The 29.
Must be, right, read all
See it
that?
online, you'll see it right
Yeah.
there.
Are you doing executive session?
Yes. Bingo. Exemption 3, move to go in executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, and that the chair declare that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the body, and to not reconvene an open session.
Be in town tomorrow morning.
Move to go in executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation, and that the chair declare that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the litigation position of the body, and to not reconvene an open session. Number 4, move to go in executive session to discuss the deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies with respect therefore, and to not reconvene an open session. Regarding Chapter 214, Section 1B, a person shall have a right against unreasonable, substantial, or serious interference with his or her privacy. The Superior Court shall have the jurisdiction and equity to enforce such right and in connection therewithin to award damages. Joe DDI.
Russ Fox, aye.
Doug Mogul, aye.
Good night, folks.